Alright, it's time to do another unhaul. I recently moved my bookshelves and tried to put every book I owned on the 2 bookshelves I own, and lo and behold, they did not fit. Honestly, even after I get rid of these, I still am not going to be able to fit everything on the bookshelves. There was a point in time where I was doing really well on my no-buy. That time has long since passed, and I am doing horribly because I just keep buying books left and right. But regardless, let's talk about some of the books I'm going to be getting rid of. So first up, I have 2 books by one author, by Amy Lloyd, One More Lie and The Innocent Wife. They're both kind of mediocre thrillers. I would say they're better in the character study department than they are in the actual thriller area of things. If I had to recommend one, I would definitely recommend The Innocent Wife. This one definitely felt like it had a little bit of the West Memphis 3 case in it, like it was inspired by that. But regardless, I know I'm not going to read these again. I gave them both 3 stars, and I'm going to be passing them along. Next one is The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty. I love this book, which is why I bought a hardcover copy, so I can pass along this mass market paperback. This is by the same author who wrote Big Little Lies. It again focuses on 3 different women and their lives and their drama. I actually like this one a little bit more than Big Little Lies, but either way, I think Liane Moriarty does really, really good work at explaining the way women think. Another one I read was The River at Night by Erica Frenick. I really hated this. I gave it 1.5 stars, which is a really low rating. This is basically a thriller that takes place when a bunch of women decide to go whitewater rafting. It was just bad and overdramatic, and I hated all the characters. One I haven't read and I absolutely love the cover of, like this might be one of my favorite covers ever, is Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes. I read a different book by Lauren Bukes. I want to say it was The Shining Girls, and I really hated it because it felt like it had so much potential and yet it went fucking nowhere. So I no longer trust this author to give me a book that actually has a proper ending. Then we have The Kingdom by Jess Rothberg. I bought this because the plot sounded like Westworld, and I think that's interesting, but the problem is I've watched Westworld and I hated it. So I'm not sure why I thought it would be better in YA form. Especially because the one thing I do appreciate about Westworld is just how dark it gets. Basically, there's some sort of Disneyland with robots that you can interact with. I'm gonna guess the robots actually have sentience and emotions and stuff. Like I said, I'm not interested in the YA version of this story. I just gave in to the hype and probably got it on sale. Next one I have is Someone Knows by Lisa Scottoline. This one sounds pretty forgettable, which is why I'm getting rid of the physical copy, but could be a good audiobook listen. Honestly, that's something that I tend to do with a lot of the books I get rid of. I will put them on my audiobook list because obviously if I bought the books, I had some sort of interest in them. And I do love having things to listen to when I'm, doing other things. I do have faith that none of these are going to be 5 stars, and so I'm probably not going to want the actual physical copies. Although I have been known to be wrong. But yeah, this one is just your average, like, something happened in the past and someone knows about it, hence the title. And now they have to deal with it. Next I have Keep Sweet by Michelle Dominguez Green. This is very, very tiny. Another possible audiobook listen. It is about a young girl who is about to be married off to someone because she's a part of some sort of church and stuff. I'm guessing that this has something to do with the LDS church, right? Because the Keep Sweet thing, that's like their motto or something. Next is The Dead of Night by John Marsden. This is the second book in the Tomorrow series. I'm continuing to read this series. It's a young adult series where these kids go camping, and then when they come back they find out that their country, Australia, has been invaded. And so now they're trying to, I don't really know what they're trying to do. They're trying to evade capture themselves while also dealing a blow to the invaders. I like the series. I'm going to continue reading it, but I doubt I'm ever going to read it again. So I've been buying the books from thrift stores and then just kind of donating them back to thrift stores. Then I have The Case of Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro. I finished the series. I gave the series probably like 3 stars overall. I much preferred them on audiobook than physically. So I'm just donating this. I know I'll never read the series again. we have The Lost Night by Andrea Bartz. This is another thriller I could pick up on an audiobook. I believe this has to do with the fact that she can't remember this one night of her life, and it's the night that somebody died. Then she finds old photographs and realizes that she spent that night with the girl who had died or something. So now she thinks that maybe she had something to do with her murder. Something like that. Could pick it up on audio, but I will say I checked all of the reviews for all of these books, and that's why I kind of like decided, okay, I can get rid of these, because I was already feeling iffy on them and they didn't have great reviews, so it's hard to say if I really need to pick any of these up. The next one I have is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. So apparently this is a legal thriller YA about mermaids. And originally I had no intention of reading this because I don't like fantasy and that's what it was being pitched as. But then once I heard the legal aspect of things, I thought maybe I was interested, but I've had it for a while and I don't really pick up YA that often. So this is one I probably will listen to because I want to pick up more legal thrillers, but I probably don't need a physical copy. Speaking of more YA, we've got The Waking Dark by Robin Wasserman. This has to do with the fact that there's like this one night randomly in this town where a bunch of people decide to murder someone. Not together. They all just like wake up and it's some sort of delusion or some sort of disease or something. They all just murder someone and then the next day they don't remember it. This really isn't my type of thing anymore. Like I feel like this is very much the type of thing that came out in like the 2010s or before. I think this was something that had been on my Goodreads forever, like since high school, and so I picked it up when I saw it on sale at a thrift store. I don't need it. Then we've got Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz. I picked this up because I like the show Sherlock. That's a dumb reason to buy a book, considering I have never read a single Sherlock novel in my life. Benedict Cumberbatch being hot probably isn't going to help me enjoy this novel. Alright, then we've got Flowers in the Attic and Petals on the Wind by V.C. Andrews. This is like a double book of those, and I have never read Flowers in the Attic. I know about it because how could anyone not know about it? For some reason I feel like everyone read V.C. Andrews as a kid except for me. It's definitely a thing you shouldn't have read as a kid, but it feels like this weird universal experience that I just didn't get to participate in. And so I bought this because thinking like, oh, it's so cheap, I got 2 for 1, but I will never pick this up physically. Like this is so heavy and I already don't like holding physical books. I know how stupid that sounds, but like I've got weak little wrists. It's just not a fun time for me. And so seeing how chunky this is, it's not happening. I will read it on ebook or audiobook or something. Although really, I probably don't need to. Like that is probably an experience I could just not have. Next thing I've got is Austenland by Shannon Hale. This is about like a Disneyland for adults, for people who love Jane Austen novels. You get to like go there and flirt with people who look like Mr. Darcy and have your own Jane Austen experience. I've never read a Jane Austen novel in my life, so what would I get from this? I don't know any of the references here. There's also a movie. I could just watch the movie. More dumb purchases because they were on sale. I have a couple different horror novels here. The Boatman's Daughter by Andy Davidson and The Plague Stones by James Brogdon. Once again, bought them because they were on sale and because they were horror and I wanted to pick up more horror. But the truth is, like, I'm not that interested in them, and there are a million other horror books I am interested in and that I would rather pick up. Could listen to them on audio for funsies, but I'm not that into town curses or witches or anything like that, and I think that's what both of these kind of entail. Now, Hex by Thomas Oldhavell, I still don't know how to say his name. That is the exception to the rule, but these don't interest me that much. We have The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I am still gonna read this. It's on my buddy read list for me and my friend, but to be honest, I have not had that much success with Ruth Ware. I know I've read at least 2 of her books now. Everyone loved Turn of the Key. I did not. I very, very much did not, and so I'm really not expecting to love this. I will be listening to this one on audio. Plus, I mean, my library's gotta have it. It's so freaking popular. I have After by Amy Ifa. I have owned this since high school. That's kind of enough said. It's about a girl who gets pregnant and then ditches her baby in a dumpster. That type of storyline does interest me. I think it's a very important storyline, just like the way we fail teenagers and the type of position they would have to be in order to do something that seems so cruel and callous. But I just don't see myself getting to it. Like, it's been 15 plus years or something ish since I bought this, so if I haven't gotten to it yet, I'm probably not getting to it. Then I bought Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This was something I bought near the beginning of my booktube channel. I just 100% the FOMO got to me, the hype. Everyone was talking about this. This and Sice by Neil Shusterman, I feel like, were two of the ones that were just freaking everywhere. So yes, of course, I own that book too. Have not read it. Except for that one's an ebook, so I can't unhaul it. I don't even like Marvel movies or DC movies. Like, I don't read superheroes comics. I don't watch superhero movies. I don't know why I thought I would read this. Then we have Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. I'm not a fan of Chuck Palahniuk's writing. I read Scared by him. Haunted. It was bad. I also watched Fight Club. Have not read it, but didn't enjoy it. I tried listening to this on audiobook. I got about halfway through. I had to fucking force myself to get to 50% before I finally accepted that it wasn't for me and DNF'd it. This is about a girl who ends up in hell because she overdosed on marijuana or something. It was really repetitive and not a fun time for me, so getting rid of it. Then we have The Beloveds by Maureen Lindley. I don't really know what this one was about. I think it's a dark contemporary about family and stuff. It didn't have good reviews, so felt like I didn't need it. I'd also had it for a while and bought it for $1. Girlfriend in Coma by Douglas Copeland. I can't tell you what this is about because there is no synopsis on it. And I think that's half the reason I'm getting rid of it, because I strictly do not remember what this is about in any way, other than the fact that I'm assuming there's a girl in a coma. Another thing I'm getting rid of is The Heart Goes Last by Margaret Atwood. I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood and absolutely adored it, and so I have been wanting to read more from her, but I have not heard anyone talk about this book, and so I'm assuming it's probably not at like the top of her bibliography. Kind of feel like there's other ones I should get to first. And if I really want to read this one, like I said, I could pick it up from my library. I'm assuming they have most of her books. This one has something to do with a system where people decide to go to prison for 6 months out of the year, and then they get to live in these like beautiful communities the other half of the year, possibly rent-free or something. Once again, she loves a dystopian tale, clearly. As well as taking things from minorities and making them about white people. I've got The Rig by Roger Levi. I keep looking at this and thinking it's a children's novel, and that's why I haven't picked it up, which is such a stupid reason, and I realize that. I am still interested in it. There's some sort of social media platform that allows subscribers a chance at resurrection based on the votes of other users. That seems like a unique premise. I like the idea, very Black Mirror-ish, but once again, as stupid as this sounds, I'm going to continue not picking it up because I keep thinking it's a children's novel. Last thing in this box is Blood Brothers by Nora Roberts. I think when I bought this, I didn't realize it was paranormal, and I also bought it because it was like 2 for $15 mass market paperbacks at Chapters. I feel like I truly just don't understand what type of books Nora Roberts writes. I definitely thought it was more on the women's fiction side of things, but I recently started her In Death series. I've only read like a little bit of the first book, and I am confused. Anyways, those are all the books I am unhauling this month. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you come back in soon. Bye.